I call this meeting to order at 5 o'clock p.m. I'd like to remind anyone present that you may not record video or audio any portion of the meeting and or leave your cell phone on. You may not text, email at any meetings without permission of the chair. I will now call for any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof, for the agenda for this meeting and for minutes of a meeting at which a member was not in attendance. Seeing none. Delegations, we do not have any delegation or deputations today, and there are no minutes from previous meeting. So we'll move on to item number 5, which is administrative reports. 5.1, a staff report, REC 2019-01, regarding the reusable room at the transfer station.
Thank you. So before you this evening is a recommendation to not reestablish a reusable space at the municipal transfer site. With the reusable section of what was a landfill site closing in the summer of 2017, it was communicated that the municipality would review the possibility of reopening the reusable section once the landfill site had transitioned into a fully functioning transfer site. The intent today is to reopen the discussion on the reusable items in our community, specifically as it pertains to our municipal transfer site. We, however, are inclined to provide a recommendation from a staff perspective, and as mentioned prior to, that recommendation is to not open a reusable section. And we're basing it on the following. The transfer site has been created to have relatively steady traffic flow with minimal time spent at the site. So that's meeting the users. Intent of the new design is to provide safe and efficient municipal operations to all user groups. So again, just efficient and effectively from our transfer site, that we feel it's important that the flow of traffic and the movement of people is done in a safe manner, and it's not an area that encourages gathering of large number of people. That's not the intent. As mentioned, it is not designed to be a place of gathering. It is designed in a way where an individual meets the transfer site attendant. The contents are inspected, payment is made if necessary, and the individual is directed by the attendant on where the contents need to be deposited. Contents are then deposited, and the individual is on their way exiting the site. So in closing, there are many benefits to having a reusable location in our community, and there is a very solid case to support why we should have one. However, we do not believe it should be located at our municipal transfer site. Further to this, if council's direction to open a reusable section at a transfer site, if that's their direction to staff, the council gives strong consideration to having it on a trial basis with detailed parameters. Examples are location of reusable area, what is allowed, what are the costs to leave an item, if any, days or day hours of operation, safety risk management precautions. And an example of that, how many vehicles are allowed on the site at one given time, and also any potential capital costs. So thank you, and we open it up to comments, questions, and of course our facilities manager, Michelle Labonte, is here with us tonight.
Okay. So since the floor is now open, we'll start with Councillor Badu. Do you have any comments that you would like to make?
Just with the financial impact, what would make it so high?
Pardon me, say that again.
What makes the financial impact of that much extra?
So if we were to have a reusable,
Yeah. 17.8, is that extra staffing or is that extra hours?
Well, it depends on where it's located. The current spot is in between the main recyclable area and the electronics. Also, there's a gate that accesses the back 20,000 cubic meter expansion area. Ideally, we don't want a lot of traffic in this area. So when we talk about capital costs, costs could be relocating the reusable area to somewhere else on site. Maybe an area that is perhaps provide more safety. But there is a lot of staff time. When we talk about parameters, the way it's set up right now, and that existing scale house, like not the new one, the old one, that will be moved, and that will be moved up to help support the operations in the 20,000 cubic meter area. If for some reason we have trouble moving it, then that facility will no longer exist. We'll dispose of it in one way, shape, or form. So potential costs are items where we ran into before is a lot of items would go in there and they would sit there. And we'd have to go get the items, so we're taking manpower away from, grading and compacting the expansion site, moving bins around, handling customers. It takes away from that time, so we have to move stuff from the reusable site and take it up to the non-leachate expansion area. Michelle, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, also looking at a new site, you're going to have to put in some sort of structure, whether it be another C-cam like we have, or you're putting in fencing, fenced areas, all those have costs as well.
In the safety aspect, we would be liable for anything that happened on the site, right?
Correct.
So,
Do you have anything else to add not right at the moment? Okay.
not right now.
Councillor Butterfield, do you have anything that you would like to ask or comment on?
Well, it's the emails that we've been receiving from concerned citizens. It is definitely worth looking into the recycling end of it as a trial basis. And the other thing is, it would definitely be worthwhile asking the community if they could donate people to assist us to reduce cost. If we decide to go forward with this, I think it should be something we should be able to do a little more research on and do a little bit of asking of the community if they're willing to assist or come up with some guidelines as far as costs. Like you said, stuff could be brought in and it winds up we have to absorb the cost of removing it. So we definitely have to look into that.
Do you have any further comments? Not at the moment?
No.
Okay.
No.
Councillor Christoph, what would you like to add?
So I'm kind of on that lines. I would almost like to ask if we can ask the staff to either gather some more information to find out if it were at the transfer site, what would be the best place, or where would be the best place to do it? Because I do think, and we've all gotten emails, I've been getting calls, talking to lots of people that are in favor of this. I got a letter from the GLC from the grade 5 class because they went to when the Reusable was there and they did a tour of the site. when it was being made into a transfer station. So they think it's important to come back as well. So whether we ask staff to do some more research into it for just not just the transfer station. If it's there, where can it go? What would be the best place if it was there? But also, can we look at some other locations? Do we have other properties or other vacant buildings or somewhere around in the area that we could make into a reusable? I think it's worth looking at all the options, looking at everything. Because maybe there is someplace nearby that will work. Because I believe it is a need, for sure. And whether there's lots of ideas floating around, whether it's you have to pay to drop something off, at least you can recoup some of that cost if it happens to go down the road. Anyways, I know. I think it's important. I do think there is a need if we're going to be stewardships for the environment. This is something definitely I think we should look into further. So I don't know. I would recommend that if we ask staff to look into some other places and try and come up with the guys that work there. They may know a good spot that might work best. They're the ones that work there. They know the site better than anyone. They might have some good ideas. I'm not too sure. But that's where I stand.
Mayor Moda, you have some comments that you'd like to make?
Thank you very much. The first thing we have to remember with any property that we do own and look after, there's always a cost, and there's also a liability and insurance needs for anything that we do have. So we have to keep that mindful at all times. But hearing the flavor around the table here, if council is deciding to move forward with further staff reports, whether it's at the landfill site or another property location, as Councillor Christoph said, being stewardship types of people here for our community and being green in the initiatives within our communities is also important. So there would be a lot of questions that I would have in regards to costs associated with depositing of items. I would be concerned with garbage being dumped in these rooms, which was problematic in the past. Small items, I don't think would necessarily be a fit, depending on what council's need would be. I would also, depending again on the site, if council was thinking of having it at our current transfer site, I would not want to see that room open every day of the week when the landfill is open. I would be suggesting one day a week, and if any time it would be on Saturdays, just due to the industrial traffic going in and out of the facilities during the weekdays. Along with one of our attendants is typically out of town. Please correct me if I'm wrong with that, Mr. Little.
It varies.
Typically during the week, though, we taking recycle runs out of town. So we have a better chance of having the third attendant on site for monitoring of traffic and congestion of people, which leads me to my next statement in regards to congestion of people. How do we direct traffic at the landfill? Because as it's situated now with our new building there, we're trying to make it a very smooth transaction where people come in, pay for their debris or whatever the debris is, take the circle, and exit. Very smooth transition. So by having a reusable room, we have to think strategically as to where that would be to lessen the congestion of traffic or people walking freely within the landfill. Outside of that, I would also recommend, from my perspective, of having it on a trial basis if it was to go with the landfill site. Again, not knowing what council's decision would like to be here, but trial site to measure everything for a few months and to get feedback from staff and Mr. Levante in regards to what we've been facing out there, because we're not there every day. Our employees are and our management staff are as well too. So those are a few concerns, and I like what Councillor Christoph was saying as well too about maybe taking it back to staff and seeing if access more than maybe 1 day a week. So those are a few of my thoughts.
Okay. So I'll add a few of my own. First of all, I was pretty overwhelmed by the response. I mean, we all have probably gotten comments and letters in the form of emails. So I think that's amazing. The fact that there's so many people that have a vested interest, and it's very near and dear to their hearts for sure. I would also like more information, and I would love to see the cost comparison. You know, we do have a fairly firm figure of what you think it would probably be for keeping it there. I have issues with the liability. I have issues with safety, but I would also like to see what are our options if we look at another area within the municipality. So that's what I would be recommending too, is that maybe we do some more information gathering. And I would also like to point out, we have like the Red Lake Sustainable Community Plan, which I think fits into all of this as well. You know, the responsible environmental stewardship sections. You know, where we are looking to our needs now, but we're also looking to our needs in the future, you know, and our children's needs. So how should we proceed?
Well, we could ask staff to go back and to see if there's any available buildings, partnerships available within the community to see if there's something that exists out there first. I'm not sure if there is or not. And my other thought would be, if that is unobtainable, then to explore our current transfer site and what options are available. In regards to everything that was discussed around the table, in regard to vehicular traffic, pedestrian traffic, you know, how much are we charging, those types of things. And then again, the question is going to be too, you know, how long do we keep an item? You know, because there are communities that don't have a reusable room, and there are communities that do have reusable rooms, but they're only fenced and in the outdoors. So if it rains, snows, whatever, those articles become damaged as well too. So how long do we actually keep them before we dispose of them? And then the other piece is, how much more work is that going to create for employees that are on the site?
So I'm just going to add, because the word that I really picked up that you just said was partnerships.
Correct.
Because when I look at what the success of the secondhand, the thrift store, and the fact that it's another group that's running it, and the amount of money that they're able to make, you know, just from, and things are being sold inexpensively, so it's a solution. If there is partners,
For sure.
yeah, so that maybe it doesn't end up falling, so it's all the responsibility within the municipality, that we all take some ownership.
So just so we're clear on the direction, correct me if I'm wrong. So first and foremost, we're going to look at another location and partnerships. Secondary, we'll look at the existing transfer site. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the idea is great, but I'm not sold on that being the ideal location for it. Like, I think there's more chance of something happening there.
When Mayor Moda and I were there on Friday, and those big machines that come past, and you don't realize how large they are until you're standing really close to them. So how should we?
Clear.
Okay.
We're going to park this.
So we're going to park this,
For
yes,
now?
until we can. So we will send it back to staff. So Mr.
Okay.
CEO will take responsibility. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
All right. So there are no referred or deferred items, and under new business, 7.1, Chikuni Communities Development Corporation. This is regarding the Chikuni Communities Development Corporation Board of Directors. So, shall I read it? I can read maybe the intent of the letter. Okay, so to Dear Mayor and Council, the Chikuni Communities Development Corporation, also known as CCDC, is a not-for-profit organization funded by FedNor and Industry Canada through contributions to an operating fund. CCDC supports economic development by assisting communities located within its catchment area of Red Lake, Ear Falls, and surrounding areas to strengthen and diversify their economies. So it's the 105 corridor that they're responsible for. As a community-based and nonprofit organization, CCDC is run by a board of directors of local volunteers. It is staffed by professionals who encourage entrepreneurship and the pursuit of economic opportunities. CCDC is funded to carry out the following services. They provide access to capital, business services, strategic community planning and development, partnership and coordination of the local initiatives. The CCDC bylaw states that there is a seat available for a representative from the municipality of Red Lake. The following is the excerpt from the bylaws regarding the specific duties of the appointed representative to the CCDC board. CCDC relationships within the two municipalities are the most important relationships that CCDC has to effectively fulfill its organizational responsibilities. Therefore, the appointed representative board member fulfills a crucial dual role. The appointed representative will communicate the interests and concerns of their respective municipalities to the board, and also appointed representatives will communicate the interests and concerns of the CCDC to their respective municipal councils. The appointed representative is a full voting member of the board, but the appointed representative is excluded from election to officer positions and from dealing with in-camera items. So they also have a very comprehensive conflict of interest policy, which they have attached. I will not read the whole thing. So the CCDC Board of Directors meets once per month, generally the fourth Monday of the month at 6:30 p.m. in the CCDC boardroom. The board is requesting that the municipality of Red Lake consider filling this vacancy. As the CCDC plays a vital role in business and community development of our region, the board feels that municipal representation is imperative. And then there's, this is signed by Kathy Cornell, and she has said if you have any further questions. I can also speak a little bit to it if you would like. Because I have, prior to becoming a municipal councillor, I was sitting on the Community Development Committee. And as an elected official, I cannot sit on that committee. I cannot sit on either the business development or the community development. So in the past, previous, I don't know if it was 2 councils ago, when there was representation. I think
2 or 3.
Former Councillor Middleton,
3.
yes,
3.
was a representative. Yes, but I believe at that point there might have been 6 councillors at the time. And then when that was reduced to 4, and the responsibilities of going to meetings, I think that's when it was moved to 4. I mean, rather, this was taken off as one of the responsibilities, right? So that's where the request is coming. Ear Falls does provide. They do have a member. Personally, I think it would be very beneficial to have someone there that actually can speak to matters. So it's a matter of...
I'm not sure if there's any councillor member interested in sitting on that.
I would be interested. Mondays are my day off, so I think it's the fourth Monday.
The fourth Monday of each month.
So as long as it doesn't interfere with council, committee whole, and the second and third, so should be okay.
The conflict of interest is very, very specific. You know what? You would be excluded as soon as there was anything that, yeah.
So, yeah, if council, if we see fit that we want a representation in there, I'd be very willing to sit on that committee.
Do we have a motion forward then?
A motion for it at the regular meeting.
Okay, at the regular meeting. So yes.
No, I just want to say I think it's a great idea that we have representation.
Oh, I also think so.
Was there a
Yes.
specific reason why we never did before, or was it just cut back like from 6 to 4? Is that what the main reason was, or was there?
I think so.
I believe that was the main reason. I think there was some other dynamics, but I think the main reason was just the change in number of council members.
Because now it's an additional responsibility that we would be taking on. The other thing that I think is very beneficial for us as well, though, is that our communications and economic development, this is Brenda Gignac, she actually has been attending the meetings as a non-voting member, but not the board of directors, just the community development. And I think that has really helped a lot for communication purposes.
And again, developing our partnerships with the community and programming.
And we both have that as part of our strategic plans, you know, CCDC and us. So, all right. So then we will put that forward at the next council meeting. Perfect.
Unless anyone else is interested.
Unfortunately, I'm committed right up. I'm on the Highway 105 board, as well as the fire department, as well as council, as well as a couple other things. Unfortunately, I have to say no, but I do think you should definitely step forward.
All right. So we have no further motions, and do we have a further motion? No, so we don't. Other than adjournment. Moved by Councillor Baduch, seconded by Councillor Butterfield, resolved that the Committee of the Whole hereby adjourns to meet again at the call of the Chair. All those in favor? Carried.